the onset of turning for forgiveness. As it is not possible for the turner for forgiveness to receive the onset of turning for forgiveness except after being warned, after the sleep of distraction. Thus, you recognize what there is of deeds which bend you toward your destruction and your perdition. You are frightened, and you see that you are in the thralls of your lower self, and that you deserve to be executed by the sword cut of your terrible behavior. The gatekeeper, El-Melik, the sovereign one, who manifests his names as he wishes, and governs them in the world of acts as he pleases. The one who has providence over all things, says to you, has a tracing way. If you throw off from yourself these oppositions, and return to him, and if you halt before his boundaries with his tracings, he will give you safety from his punishment, and he will be most gracious to you. And part of Allah's goodness to you is that every terrible deed you brought forth its form will be restored to be. Then the gatekeeper gives him the divine undertaking, because it is written, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, Rahman, and the most merciful, Rahim. They do not turn to a gods besides Allah, or take a life that Allah has forbidden except by right retribution, and do not commit adultery. And whoever does that shall face its consequence. Burning will be multiplied for him during doomsday, and he will abide forever in disgrace, abandoned, alone. Except he who repents, believes, and fulfills the requisites of his faith. Allah will change their bad deeds into good deeds. Allah is the ever-forgiving, Ghaffar, and the most merciful, Rahim. Al-Quran, verses 68-70. When the brute, someone wild and uncivilized, reads this undertaking, he says, "Who am I that I should be lucky enough to get the righteous deed which he stipulates will be mine after its alteration?" There comes suddenly the answer in another undertaking, where it is written, "Indeed, Allah does not forgive shirk, directly or indirectly assuming the existence of beings other than Allah, but forgives lesser sins other than this, as he wills." An-Nisa, verse 48. Allah does not forgive that others be set up as partners with him, but he forgives everything else except that, for whomever he pleases. So the brute thinks, I cannot tell whether I am someone he pleases to forgive or not. Then, in response, there is a third undertaking, where it is written, O my creatures, who have transgressed against themselves, do not lose hope from the grace of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all mistakes of those who repent. Indeed, He is the ever-forgiving, Ghaffar, and the most merciful, Rahim. Az-Zumar, verse 48. Then, when the brute recites this undertaking, he says, "Yes, now." And he submits. We return to the first undertaking. We say, when he recites this undertaking which is true, falsehood cannot reach it from its front, directly, or its back, indirectly. It is a dimensional disclosure from the one who is the determiner, Hakim, the praised, Hamid. Fussilat, verses 41-42. The gatekeeper says to him, the one who turns from sin is like the one who has no sin. When this utter sense of safety comes to him just after that terrible fear, he finds in the salvation a sweet pleasure which he had not known before. About this it was said, nothing is sweeter than safety, after fearfully dreading. As soon as there comes to him the taste of this pleasure, and he begins to do right deeds, and to cleanse his heart, and to prepare for the session with the El-Melik, as the absolute and unequivocal reality, the source and essence of every function in manifestation, Haqq says, I am seated with the one who remembers me, and his recognition of Haqq intensifies, and he learns what is appropriate to his great majesty, and learns the measure of the one who would oppose him. He feels the most embarrassing shame of all, and suddenly the pleasure he had found upon coming to him for repentance vanishes. He ascends, and sees the divine presence, and what it demands of him is courtesy and gratitude for what he has been given, as a blessing.